Hey everyone in Reclaiming You. So here we are, Friday afternoon, 5:23, a little bit later than my anticipated 5 p.m. But I was literally going down the rabbit hole looking at some information about my earlier post. And it was funny because when I did that post earlier, I thought I want to jump in and explain. I want to do it justice because there's something here for a lot of us. I can see a couple of people have just jumped on. Say hey if you're here. I've only literally just started. And as I said, sorry for being 23 minutes late. 23 is my lucky number, so that must be a sign. But I'm just going to talk a little bit about a few things here. And this is to do with that post, that vision that I had today, that kind of epiphany, which kind of explains a lot for me. And I'm hoping this can shed some light on things for you as well. So as I said, say hey if you're here, or if you catch the replay, do the hashtag replay. But you guys know I've been a few different things. I've been getting more and more into human design, and that's something you can go and get your human design chart for free. You can find out your human design, your type, your authority, your profile, how you best run energy. You can look at your energy centers, and it's really insightful. And, linked in with that is the Gene Keys, which you can go to genekeys.com. Hello, how are you, Dee? And you can also, genekeys.com, you can get your free Gene Keys profile as well. And they're really, really insightful to help you with things like really understanding in a different way your life's purpose, how you, express yourself, what some of your skills are, where you're open to, potentially taking on energies from other people. So both of them are really, really interesting, and they kind of all link in with astrology and things like that. So you guys know I got into life purpose astrology back in December, and I absolutely love that. It shed a lot of light on things, and I've done probably over 50 readings now, and that's sort of pretty much what everyone's been saying. Oh my gosh, so insightful. And it's the same with this human design and Gene Keys. They're all just pieces of the puzzle to help you understand yourself more. And when I started getting into human design, one of the things, and this is linked in with what I want to talk about, is when you get the free chart, and I showed that the other day, you'll see, some of your defined centers, your colored in centers, and you'll also see if you have undefined centers as well. And essentially, and I explained it, I think, in another live stream that I did, but those white centers, the undefined centers, that's kind of where you have inconsistent energy. So it sort of fluctuates depending on the situation, depending on who you're with. It's where you can have a lot of wounds and struggles. And it's where you also get your life lessons and mastery from in a lot of ways. But it's also where you're reading energy from others and you're reflecting energy of those around you. If those colored centers, see where they're defined, that's sort of almost where you have more of a superpower. It's more of a fixed energy. It's more consistent. It's more predictable. So they talk about these 4 motor centers that we have. One of them being one of the most powerful is the sacral. So if you're a generator type or a manifesting generator type, which I am, we have this colored in this sacral energy, and it means that we have a lot of energy to do our work. The root center is what I want to talk about. So it's very hard to see here, but basically mine's undefined. I've got an open root. So about 60% of the population have a coloured in root. So what that means is, they've got a consistent source of this energy, but it also means that they tend to not be able to sit still. Like they've it's like a pressure centre in a lot of ways. It's also to do with, if you guys are familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, when they talk about the basic physiological needs, like we need to, it's our safety, it's our survival, it's food, it's water, it's shelter, it's all those sort of things. So it's the basic kind of drive, and it's interesting. So with myself having that open, what that means is when I'm around people that have that defined and they're, feeling the pressure, it's almost amplified for me. And it started to become a real issue for me. I'm going to say maybe 13 years ago. I was working in an environment where my boss and the boss above that were both, and I wouldn't be surprised, I didn't obviously know anything about human design then, I wouldn't be surprised if one of them had the defined and maybe one had the open root center, but they were running on adrenaline all the time, pressure, pressure, pressure. And that's what they sort of say with this. It's almost like on some level with this root center, we're kind of in this hurry to be free of this pressure, if that makes sense. And that's literally kind of been the story of my life. It's kind of almost like I feel like there's been pressure. So, I can see someone else has just jumped on, say hey. So, this pressure, and maybe this is something you've also felt, like this pressure, and it's not just, and I think because, as we said, it's like, it's so inbuilt, and as I said, 60% of the population have it fixed. So, they've got this fixed, consistent source of this energy, and, like, as I said, the pressure cooker sort of situation, unless they know how to harness that energy properly. And then, of course, you've got us open roots who, are feeling it and amplifying it from those around us. So we're feeling the pressure tenfold. So, it's just sort of interesting, as I said, concept. It's something to think about. But I've always felt that it's almost like I've always said that I'm just going to get all these things done really quickly and then I can relax. So it's like you've constantly almost got this list of things to do and you're trying to free yourself of that pressure. So that's kind of one piece that I wanted to talk about. And as I said, this is something why I think a lot of us, because on some level, and this isn't conscious to us, we know this is kind of and as I said, this human design modality is just a way to understand it. All these tools are just ways to understand ourselves more. But it's really, as I said, insightful, and it's explained a hell of a lot for me. But with this, as I said, this pressure center, so, what happens is I think a lot of us kind of feel this on some level, whether we've got the defined root, and as I said, we're just always busy, always feeling the energy, the pressure to succeed, the pressure to do well. And of course, then us open centers, as I said, open roots, we're feeling it even more. It's more amplified. So we're, in a hurry to free ourselves of that pressure. So also, as we know, this is kind of built into us in society. It's that societal conditioning and programming that, there is pressure there. You've got to kind of succeed, try and get the good grades, get the best in your class, be the chosen one, be the one that's selected, be the one that excels and progresses quickly in their career or builds the biggest business or whatever. And this pressure can sort of be externally, coming towards us from others, but also a lot of us put that pressure on ourselves. As we know, there's pressure that we want to nail at first go. We want to be the best. We want to do really well by everyone and by ourselves as well. So as I said, that whole pressure piece, and I think when we're feeling it, like a lot of us, as I said, it's linked in with the adrenals. And that's why so many people, I feel, on a physical level, because of that pressure, from society, from internally generated, internally sourced, it's like we tend to then, as I said, rely on the caffeine and, other kind of addictions to give us that. And that's what we feel is giving us that power. And this is where I had this kind of epiphany today. It was like this vision that came through really quite clearly. It's like, that gives us a sense of power. We can feel that power. When we're running around and there's pressure, it is fueling us. It's like a fuel source, a power source, if that makes sense. And it becomes so familiar to us that that's what we rely on. But the ironic thing with this is that's actually not a sustainable power source, as we know. Like, we're going to burn out our adrenals, affect our thyroid, affect our nervous system. It then affects the digestive system, the immune system, the hormones, and causes that breakdown and degeneration, even mentally and emotionally as well. We can't live with that pressure longer term. It's like it weighs us down. And that's what I kind of had this vision of. It's like, we actually get the power, as we know, from, being sort of more self-sourced. I keep talking about this over and over, but this is what I literally was shown today in this kind of vision that I was having. It was like seeing myself in this beautiful white channel. And it was like literally as I was there, it was like I was so in flow. It was that wholeness, that oneness. And when a lot of people are talking about the fifth dimension and, we're ascending to the fifth dimension and things like that, that fifth dimension is more about that wholeness and that oneness and that love consciousness. It's a much higher vibration. Anyway, when I was kind of in this channel, so to speak, there was just so much kind of power in it. I felt the power in my body. And then it was like, as soon as I let, fears and doubts and insecurities and all of this start to creep in, it took me further and further away from this channel, this wholeness, this unity, this love, this high vibratory state, to this kind of lower consciousness and lower state, which is kind of more synonymous with the third dimension. Hopefully I'm not losing you too much. It's pretty out there, I know. Hopefully I'm kind of chunking it down in a way that makes sense. But it's like that's what's happening with a lot of us. As I said, it's like, you know, we're kind of feeling that that is the power source, the pressure, and then the addictions and things like that. That's what's fueling us, giving us our power, giving us the purpose almost. But it's not. Like, ironically, it's the more that we can just release and allow and receive, that brings us more open to our power center, our energy source, that lightness, that oneness, you know, that high vibratory state. And it's from that place that, you know, we start to attract more of what we want in life, which most of the time what people actually want is they want more love, they want more freedom, they want more joy, they want more happiness. It's like the desires that often people will say, oh, I want the handbag, or I want the car, I want, you know, whatever. That's fine. I mean, I got a new car the other day, you know, but it was like, you know, it's not even about that. It's like, as we said, at a much deeper level, it's more those kind of things, those common things that people are wanting. As I said, the freedom, the love, the flow, the joy, the happiness, the bliss, the sense of fulfillment, that sort of thing. Is this all kind of resonating? Does this sort of make sense where I'm going with this? But, you know, and it's not easy because we like to control things as humans. Like, we like to be able to know it and define it and feel comfortable in that kind of logical nature, if that makes sense. So the more like esoteric or spiritual or out there, we can't really control it. We don't really know it. It feels a bit vague. It feels a bit, you know, undefined. So we tend to do all we can to push it away or dismiss it, if that makes sense. But that's what we need more of. So it's like we kind of need to detach from the programming of society that, you know, there needs to be pressure and you need to be succeeding. And, you know, it's kind of, as I said, that third dimensional theme or values versus kind of actually just allowing yourself to be more in that flow state. So let me know, as I said, if this is kind of making sense. But, you know, that's sort of what true power is. The more it's like you're in that place of, you know, detachment, like you're not so attached to the outcome. You're not trying to force it. You're not trying to control it. You're just allowing and receiving and being open to almost this higher consciousness, this kind of higher aspect of you, which is more knowing, like, and sees the bigger picture. Like, I think our smaller self wants to control it, wants to know all the pieces of the puzzle, tries to manipulate sounds harsh, but tries to fix it, tries to do what we can, because that feels more comfortable to our logical mind rather than just releasing and surrendering and kind of letting go. So anyway, as I said, that's what I wanted to share with you, but that is essentially the remedy to be really self-sourcing and being more in your power and flow and love and bliss and all of that, is to, you know, try and, as I said, be more open and receiving and allow yourself to just, you know, be connected to that higher aspect of you and kind of with no expectations. Like, it's not like you're doing it for an ulterior motive. You're doing it because you want to self-source. You want to feel higher states of consciousness, higher states of bliss, is this all making sense? As I said, hopefully it is. Like, I know it's kind of really out there, but it's just sort of coming through so loudly and clearly that that's what most of us are doing. We're kind of relying on this false power, this kind of pressure to perform and to succeed and to achieve and to do this and to do that. And that pressure is kind of frying our adrenals and our nervous system. And we think it's the power, but it's a false power. The more that we're in our power center, it's that self-sourcing, and it's kind of like really being able to trust ourselves, trust God, trust divine, trust, you know, our higher self, and, you know, lean more into our purpose and our mission here. So, yeah, anyway, as I said, that's kind of what it is. It's kind of just stopping trying to control and really being more in the state of allowing and receiving and working through the conditions that come up for you with that. Because sometimes it's like, oh, well, that's not realistic, that's not productive, that's not safe, that's not known. So you need to work through all of that because that's stopping you from receiving this higher consciousness or higher connection to your higher self. So anyway, on that note, I'm going to love you and leave you. I'm going to finish doing what I'm doing before I need to get ready for date night. But I was going to say, we did the other night go and see the premiere of the new Top Gun, you know, the Maverick one with Tom Cruise. It's not my usual type of movie, but I really, really enjoyed it, actually. It was so good. Yeah, it was interesting. So anyway, and it was funny because it was a little spread that had been put on by BMW where I got the car, they had like little, they had a local distillery that made this nice boutique gin and stuff like that. And then at the cinema they had, because they'd hired it all out, they had the popcorn and the choc tops and, the water or whatever. Anyway, it was actually a really cool movie. So that may be something that you go and see. I don't know if it's on this weekend or what, but anyway, have a great weekend. I hope that all makes sense, but it's basically just to try and detach from that societal programming around the pressure and, really just kind of allow yourself to be in that state of just flow and ease. Like, it really is the easier option, but it's harder in ways because we're not used to not being able to control it. We're not used to detaching and being and connecting to our higher self and our higher aspects of us. Anyway, much love, and I will see you soon.